So the guiding principle, though, of food sheds is that nations and regions should have some control, some sovereignty over their food destiny and preserve the ability to feed themselves. This is not a selfish ethic. This is not just for us. We need to be preaching the same idea in the rest of the world. You know, we talk a lot about we need to grow lots of food in America to feed the world. Well, what really happens when we grow lots of food, too much food in America, surplus corn, surplus soy, is that we dump that subsidized grain on the world and compromise the world's ability to feed itself. Because we put farmers out of business. And we saw this in Mexico after NAFTA, when the flood of U.S. corn was admitted. Nearly 2 million Mexican farmers lost their livelihoods. Some of them ended up in the cities, poor, and many of them ended up in this country. This is what drove the wave of immigration over the last 10 or 15 years. So we have to understand that feeding the world is a complicated idea, and the important thing to think about is how can we help the world feed itself? Now, the last area we need to address, because we are all implicated in this problem, is the food culture. Okay? We are all implicated in a culture of fast, cheap, and easy food that's grown, processed, and moved around with fossil fuel. We need to learn to eat from a shorter food chain. None of this works unless people cook. None of this works unless people know how to cook. How do we do that? Well, that's a big task, changing the food culture. Some of it's about storytelling, making people appreciate the value of really well-grown food grown in their community. But we're really going to have to teach our children. We have to teach our children how to eat lunch. I know Alice Waters was here a few years ago. I think she was here a few years ago. And, you know, she has this wacky idea, or so it sounds, that we should give kids credit for lunch. Academic credit. And when I first heard that, I said, that's pretty wacky. But of course, we give them credit for physical education. Is that not an equally important life skill, to know how to eat lunch, to know what is at stake, what is going on? And, you know, I've come to see her point. I think she's absolutely right. We need to teach children about growing food with gardens in the schools. We need cooking classes. I don't think you should be able to graduate from 9th grade without knowing how to roast a chicken. I think that's a very important life skill. And we need to teach them how to eat. Now, this sounds very paternalistic. I'm saying sit kids down, give them a half hour at a table, platters, tables, knives, and forks. This is also a very important life skill. Now, if it sounds paternalistic, you know, the government should teach kids how to eat lunch. Well, consider that the government is now teaching them how to eat lunch. When you give kids chicken nuggets and tater tots in 10 minutes to eat, you are teaching them a way of eating. You are training the next generation of fast food customers. And we need to change the next generation of slow food customers. Now, we need to teach adults too. And one of the ways we do that is more transparency in our food system. What about a second calorie count on every package of food that tells you not just how many fat calories or carbohydrate calories are in it, but how many fossil fuel calories are in it? So you can look at a package of hamburger meat and see, yeah, it's a little cheaper, but geez, 55 calories of fossil fuel for every 1 calorie of meat. And then over here is this grass-fed meat, and hey, it's negative. Or it's got 5 calories of fossil fuel to do 1 calorie of, because all this carbon's been sequestered in the process. And that you could look at a soda and see how many calories of fossil fuel are in it. You know, not everybody would pay attention, not everybody reads calorie counts, but enough people would, and they would be able to make those often very complex decisions. Because there are times when food grown close to you has a bigger carbon footprint than food from far away. And it's important to know when that is true, because food miles are not the last word on this. You've got to look at the whole production system. So, but we have the science. We know how to do that. And I think that would be very useful for teaching us. And then we need, the bully pulpit. We need, I think, on this cultural matter, we need exactly what we're getting from Michelle Obama. How great is it that there is now an organic garden on the White House lawn? And that the First Lady is speaking out regularly about the importance of fresh food, real food, getting away from processed food, and the importance of cooking for your family. She is, in a way, kind of redefining slightly our understanding of what it means to be a good parent. That includes cooking real food for your kids. That being a good parent is not necessarily taking your kids to McDonald's whenever they want to go. But it is like reading to your kids, a very important function of parenting. She's getting that message, of course. And I think she's raising consciousness about school lunch, and she has made this her issue. And I think that that's a very important thing. Gardening is not trivial. Gardening is a part of the solution. Gardens do a lot. They produce lots of healthy food. For people who say, I can't afford to eat organically, well, if you've got space for a garden, you can. The National Gardening Association just issued a study where they said a $60 investment in a home garden can yield $200 worth of fresh produce. That you will not find produce that is more nutritious, fresher, more delicious than the food you can grow yourself. At the same time, you'll be sequestering carbon. You'll be getting exercise without getting in your car to drive to the gym. And you will be, to paraphrase Wendell Berry again, breaking the hold of that cheap energy mindset that is telling you every day that you can't do anything for yourself, that you need an expert somewhere far away to entertain you, to feed you, to clothe you, to do everything for you. When you start using your body in support of your body by growing just a little bit of food, you realize that, you can do something for yourself. You don't need fossil fuel to make a move. So I think that's a really important, and it is a reminder how much is given. That the sun still shines down on our yards, and photosynthesis can still work its wonders wherever it does. It is the ultimate reminder of the free lunch in your yard every day. So, in conclusion, what happens now? Well, nothing unless we organize and bring pressure. Much stands in the way. Opposition is building. The kind of protests that we saw on Thursday are happening all over the country now when I speak and when other people speak. The industry has woken up and taken notice. We're going through those stages that Gandhi talked about of being ignored and then being ridiculed and then being fought. We're entering the fight stage. A friend of mine had occasion to meet with Michelle Obama and Barack Obama. I've never met them. And to prepare a dinner for them and talk to them about some of these issues. And it was an interesting conversation, and he was making a lot of the points I'm making to you, a lot of points you would make, I think, to the President and the First Lady if you had a chance. And this is before they took office. This is right before they took office. And, he was like, I get it, but I don't see a movement. Show me the movement. And he was basically indicating that he didn't feel enough pressure to move. And he understood the pressure on the other side. And he understood, too, how politics works. When I heard the story, it reminded me of, I don't know if you've read this history, but Lyndon Johnson meeting with Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King came to him and said, we need a Voting Rights Act. We need your help. In the same way that people have come to the President and said, we need your help reforming the food system. And Johnson said this. He said, make me do it. Go out and make me do it. That's how politics works. And that's what we need to do now. We need to go out and show them the movement. So let's go out and make them do it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Great time. Thank you so much.
Okay, we have time for a few questions, and Michael has graciously agreed to answer some. We have microphones, however, and please make sure you have a microphone so everyone can hear the question, so Michael can hear the question.